Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Arwin, Chocolate Saiyan, Adam, 10th Man, Neil, Refracted Curvature, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, everyone.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, good evening.
Morning, good morning.
Welcome wherever you may be. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Hey, Nathan, before we jump into housekeeping, we have some ballers in Discord.
Say again, Stag?
We got some ballers in Discord. I think they wanted to ask some questions.
All right, okay.
If you don't mind.
No, not
We
at all.
can answer first this 7. It'll be easier.
Say again, Sasha?
Obnoxious. Go ahead, buddy.
I'm saying it will be easier if we answer these 7 questions what you have to ask, and then we will go do the other questions.
Okay. What was the question you wanted to ask? Was it Robo, the guy who's trying to say hello in the pre-show?
Yes, I'm Rob Noxious. I am a Glober, but I do have questions, and I'm not 100% a Glober.
Fair enough.
And my question is, I live in the state of Michigan, the United States of America, and I live on a lake called Lake St. Clair, which happens to be 24 miles across at its widest point. I fish off a pier there all my life, and I've noticed that I can see the windmills on the other side of Canada, but I cannot see the land. And when I go to the top of this residential skyscraper that's 220 feet in the air, that's next to the fishing pier, the land of Canada reappears. Why am I seeing the land if I'm elevated, but from ground level, I can't see the land? And I'm only seeing the windmills.
Okay, I appreciate your question, but what does this have to do with the nature of Earth?
Oh, I just was wondering, is that proving the curve or is that the vanishing point?
Well, no. My address to you is in regards to how you feel it proves the Earth's shape or nature as a plane in either event.
Well, because mathematically speaking, if my line of sight is changing with elevation, that would mean that I'm looking over an edge or a curve.
Because?
You say cause or cuz?
No, I said because, as in, can you expand on why that would be?
That's why I'm asking you. I know you're a little bit more inept in answering these questions. That's why I come to the experts. I wanted to see where am I getting it wrong at?
Okay. Well, you're asking about a mathematics that's laid down already, though. So the mathematics of Earth curves pretty set in stone.
Yeah, exactly. That was my thing. I did the math that way, but I'm trying to figure out how do you do the math on a flat Earth to understand why you can only see 2/3 of the windmill and you can't see the bottom of the windmill from ground level.
So it's your assertion that based on the Earth curve maths, it is a hill getting in the way.
It's not a hill. Well, that's what you would think it would be because, like I said, it messes up your observation. But according to the Globers, that's demonstrating that you're only seeing 2/3 of the windmill because the Earth is curving at 40 miles away, and you're only seeing half of it.
I see. So it's your positive claim that the hill known as Earth curve blocks the land below the windmills. That's your positive claim, then, correct?
From my observations, yes, Mr. Oakley.
Right, if the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959, as laid down in the Begging the Question Proof of Nothing Perspective Hijacking Earth Curve calculator, then every distance to that geometric limitation you believe is blocking the Canada shoreline could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as laid down in the Begging the Question Proof of Nothing Perspective Hijacking Earth Curve calculator. And we can show that that limitation that you thought was blocking the bottom of Canada is beyond its geometric limitations as laid down in those maths. Therefore, the horizon isn't an Earth curve edge blocking the bottom of a Canada shoreline that you thought was being blocked by a hill known as Earth curve. We've debunked it. So beyond the positive assertion that the Earth has got a sphere edge called Earth curve at the horizon, which we've debunked 1st Jan 2020, was there anything else? I mean, if you've got questions about what that may be, I don't have any need to satisfy any positive claims that I haven't made, because I haven't made any. There's just an Earth curve claim at the horizon, isn't there?
Yeah. So if I was to take a telescope and I was to zoom in from shoreline, I should be able to bring back the windmills bottom.
So is that your positive claim now? What are you claiming now?
Because I have binoculars, but I don't have. I didn't take a telescope yet, but I had binoculars that are pretty strong, and I wasn't able to bring back the bottom of the windmills.
And
but if I go to the top of the building, that's less than.
I heard that the first time.
Maybe 1,000.
Sorry, my friend. You're repeating yourself. Do you understand that you have already said this and I did listen? Do you understand that first of all?
Yes, sir.
Do you appreciate that you don't need to say it again then?
I understand.
Right, I haven't made a claim about this, have I?
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to get in any scuffle with you about a claim. That's why I was just asking questions. I'm just trying to figure out stuff myself.
You're not. No. Let's not misunderstand what you are doing. You are making a positive assertion as opposed to asking questions. Your positive assertion was a hill got in the way of Canada, correct? Yes, that's correct.
No, not
yes,
a hill.
Correct. Yes, that is what you claimed. I clarified what you claimed and how you claimed it and what your claim was based on. It was based on Earth curve maths. So we know what your claim is. Your claim is the horizon is a hill getting in the way of the bottom of Canada. And I've debunked that. We can show how it isn't a physical limitation to your view of Canada. We can demonstrate how the maths that says it's a hill getting in the way of Canada isn't tenable, incorrect. So we can debunk.
But it's not a hill because there's no hills in a lake.
There is if it's a sphere Earth. It's at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, based on the maths you used to make your claim of a sphere edge getting in the way of Canada.
Yeah, but the math also states that within a certain number, you would never be able to register the curve. That's why the ground feels flat to everybody.
Oh, right. So when it says it's at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, that's the maths telling us how flat it is it? Incorrect. Now you seem to be doubling back 180 degrees against your claim that a physical hill, that's Earth curve, blocked the view of Canada with its curvy hill-like nature that blocks things because it's a physical hill that we debunked in 2020. Now, beyond that, there's no need for me to explain to you why the horizon is the way it is. I can. Yes, I definitely understand why the horizon would do that as you raise in altitude. Yes, I've got a very, very good understanding of why it does that. But I'm not making any claims in that regard, so I don't have to. What I can do is debunk the claim that it's a hill. Make no mistake, it's a physical hill curving away from your view at 8 inches per mile squared, with a physical limitation at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as laid down in the maths you used to tell me how far things should be seen at. Now, that doesn't dictate the world we see. You know what does? Your eyes. They dictate what you can and can't see based on what you can see with them. Not whether or not there's a hill getting in the way in a Muppet Vision maths where it says there's a hill getting in the way. There isn't. We've debunked that.
Gotcha.
Would you like to know how your idea of Earth curve was derived? Because we could tell you that and tell you how the models were created if you're interested.
Oh, no, I've done all that type of research and stuff. All the old guys, the old Greek people and all that stuff. I've been through there.
On the contrary.
I've been through that.
No, not from the Greeks.
No.
The maths that you were using to, question me about what I would claim proved the effects of the horizon when they're claimed to be Earth curve. That claim, that has come to pass as a result of measuring differential angles from a flat surface. Did you know that? Because that's where the Earth curve has come from that you thought was getting in the way of Canada. It's actually based on a mathematical derivation between two horizontal planes, eye level and ground level. Did you know that?
Okay. Yes, sir, I did. So
why are you asking me whether or not Earth curve's getting in the way then? If you know that... Okay, mate, if you know that a claim of Earth curve has come from a measurement that describes the differential between two planes, that's two flat surfaces, why would you ask me whether or not Earth curve's getting in the way if you already know that?
Well, because maybe the math is wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying. I know you guys don't like follow comment or the structured science as what it is today. You guys, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm asking different questions.
What?
Do you know what the problem is with that statement that you just said?
Yeah, there's a lot wrong with it.
Math is wrong.
The guys are laymen.
Because
don't labour the point. Yes, it's not science. Yes, it is maths.
No, I'm not going there. I just wanted to say, like you just said, the math is wrong, right? Well, we've been told
I said maybe it's wrong. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe it's wrong, but we've been told that this geometric horizon, aka the Earth curve, that only exists in the math, right? We've had that actually stated to us by people on your side. So yeah, what you're saying or what you're seeing out at this lake, because even you yourself said, what was it that you said? There's no hill in the lake. Well, I want you to stick to that statement because that's the point, right? They're telling you that all the lakes, all the oceans are actually hills. That's the okie doke that they have you thinking because they taught you live on a globe all your life, right? But like you said,
I got you. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. That's not how I come to understand how the it's set up, but I totally get what you're saying.
Okay, tell us. Well,
what do you guys think about spherical?
No. Before we move on, you said that's not how you've come to understand it. Well, just explain how you've come to understand it. We're intrigued.
That there is no hill. It's the same reason that, like, say we took a basketball, or we took the Earth and we reduced it down to the factor of 1 in 634,472,073. Okay, that would make a human, a 6 foot tall human in perspective would be 0.000000945 of an inch. That's 250 times smaller than a decimite. So if you put that on a basketball, you would think the basketball would be flat too. You would never notice it. It's all perspective. So if a human being stands on a basketball,
okay, guys, hold on. I don't think it's quite done.
Sorry, go
ahead. Same basketball versus dust mite. We wouldn't be able to perceive that it's flat. In spite of Earth curve maths, if you were the dust mite on the basketball, would still, for your dust mite, have an Earth curve claimed to be at 1.2 times the square root of that dust mite's height in nanometers. There's still a claimed Earth curve measurable for the dust mite on the basketball. Same Earth curve claim in the maths that's on screen now. So you're saying, well, it's imperceivable. Why the hell is the maths to measure it then? If that's your now claim, when you were telling us there was a hill getting in the way and asking me how it should or shouldn't be appearing at altitude, that's your claim that the hill is apparent. The hill block in Canada, that's apparent, according to your original claim. Now you're justifying how we can't see it as it being really small when I've got the maths for how much hill gets in the way on screen for the audience. So it's like you're flip-flopping between we can't perceive the hill that gets in the way, therefore it's not a hill, but it'll block the bottom of Canada with its hill-like physical nature blocking the bottom of stuff. So which way do you want to go, mate? Is it a hill getting in the way of Canada, or is it imperceivably blocking Canada? Make up your mind.
No, that was to explain how big in relation the Earth is to the human. It wasn't really saying that. It wasn't really stating about the hill. It was just stating, it's showing you how things can be perceived differently. If you're, imagine being this 250 times smaller than a decimite, not the size of a decimite, 250 times smaller.
But do you hear
because if you wanted to be,
do you hear what you're doing?
Well, yeah, it's an actual experiment. You can do this experiment.
No, hold on. What you're doing is actually giving us a claim of there's Earth curve, right? And then simultaneously trying to position yourself so that you could tell us how there is no curve, how it's not perceivable, how it looks flat because we're so small, right? This is an argument we've heard so many times. Oh, the Earth curve, the Earth is so big. This is why you can't see the curve. Well, if you can't see it, how did you measure it in the first place? Going back to the math, right?
Yeah, that's a couple different experiments in that itself. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. That's why I said.
What he's telling you, that's not an experiment. What he's telling you is you just contradicted yourself.
Let's address that before we move on. So, do you understand, Robo or Rob Noxious, that on the one hand you're saying we can't perceive Earth curve, on the other hand you're asking us why we can perceive Earth curve blocking the bottom of land in the distance?
I got you. Do you think that this is based on?
Don't ask me something.
Distrust?
Stop.
Okay.
Don't ask me a question.
I'm sorry.
You need to slowly acknowledge. Yes, Nathan. I understand that I've spent the last 15 minutes with contradictory questions based on a claim that's been debunked for about 3 years.
I'm sorry. I'm just asking questions, man.
No. I'll try once more. Listen carefully. You have posed contradictory statements. On the one hand, please don't interrupt. It's the third time of asking you to just concede that you've contradicted yourself. On the one hand, Earth's so big, us so small, no Earth curve to perceive. That is statement 1. Statement 2, Earth curve perceivably blocking landing distance. You interrupted me, didn't you?
No.
Do you understand that those two things are in complete contradiction with one another?
That's not really how I said it, I don't think.
Yes, it is. It is precisely what you said. We are like a dust mite, so small compared to the basketball that we cannot perceive it as curving. It appears flat. That is your statement. No perception of curve appearing flat. Second statement. We can see Earth curve hill blocking Canada. Fourth time. You just need to say, yes, I understand. I'm making contradictions, for the love of God, man. How long's this going to take? We can't move on until you accept that you've contradicted yourself. Just
it sounds contradictory when you explain it like that. It sounds contradictory, but
It wasn't what kind of. It is. It's a direct contradiction. I can see curve.
No, because I explained to you, but I tried to explain. I tried to explain my
we're not deaf,
for it.
my friend. We aren't deaf. The audience isn't deaf. Nobody on the panel's deaf. Nobody in Discord's deaf. Everybody's heard the two contradictory statements, and you're saying, yeah, when you say like that, kind of sounds like it kind of is. Yeah, no, it is.
No, because I gave you the reason why you see that, though.
It is contradictory. It's just very painful for you, a kind of on-the-fence kind of globe believer, to accept that when we take apart the initial claim that there's Earth curve hill blocking Canada, you then go to can't perceive Earth curve, it's flat to our perception. Those two things contradict each other. We're still at the same fifth repetition of me pointing out the contradiction and you not accepting it.
I'll just say it's not your fault for doing that. It's just kind of how you sort of kind of have to argue the globe, because there is no perceivable curvature. There's no measurable curvature. As a matter of fact, the curvature that you were talking about actually came from a flat plane. So that's why there's really no curvature. But in order to argue it, you have to believe there's curve, and then you have to simultaneously tell us how flat it looks because it's so big. That's the contradiction. Now, I know you might not get that.
Well, I was more or less trying to. Yeah, I was more or less trying to point out.
Rob, you pointed out that we are so small on the air. And Nathan explained you how small we are. We are small so much that we can see 3 miles horizon. That's the globe math. Do you understand that?
Yeah, but I'm a mariner, but you need to see more than 3 miles.
But you need to understand this.
Everyone on G+ and Sasha. Right, you got 3 words out. I'm a mariner.
You need to understand.
Go ahead, Robo. Everybody else, please. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that I am a mariner. I spend a lot of time in the water. I definitely can see more than 3 miles at a time.
Yeah.
I've driven out. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the point of this. This what you're saying, what you said, like we are so small and Earth is big, big, big. And Nathan explained to you this math radius telling you that you cannot see more than 3 miles in the distance. Then it's starting to drop. That is that hill that it's starting to drop. Let's say, but if you see more than 3 miles, there is no such a thing called curvature.
Yeah, but I think the perception of it being a hill is misconstrued.
It's not a perception. It's
Okay,
that
stop.
the math
Sasha,
of globe.
Stop. Sorry, misconstrued. On screen for the audience.
Yes.
That's not your cue to talk over the top of me, my friend. You've said your perception of what I'm claiming, that's curvature, is misconstrued. I heard you. Now I'm going to tell the audience it's on screen. Detailed by me accurately as 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet is the point of the physical limitation, edge of the hill, getting in the way. It's marked with an X in this diagram, labelled horizon. I'm not misconstruing anything. You're just contradicting yourself. And now you're blaming me for my misapprehensions of what a hill is when it's on screen in Earth curve maths, marked with an X and labelled horizon. I'm not misconstruing anything. Let's get that absolutely clear. It's just not physically there and we don't see it and we can debunk it. Yeah, and when we point that out, you've told us how flat we would perceive it, and we've pointed out that that contradicts your original claim that it's blocking Canada. The hill on the diagram marked horizon is the edge of the point that blocks Canada in your original claim that has then been contradicted by how imperceivably curved it is when you say it's flat because we're the size of a dust mite on a basketball. So we're still at the 6th attempt with you desperately trying to whistle past that and everybody else around you trying to help you, it seems. 6 times. You just need to say, yes, Nathan, I understand how my second statement of how flat we would perceive it utterly contradicts my first statement that it's blocking the bottom of Canada. Can you do that for us? Is that not possible?
I will not be able to do that at this time.
Well, then you are unreasonable. Go away, unreasonable man. I don't want to waste my time with unreasonable people who, in the face of 6 concise pointings out of their concise inconsistency, their contradiction, can't accept it. Why would I have any more conversation with you? You're unreasonable. Do you understand you are not a reasonable man?
This always happens, man. That's why I don't understand. I try to talk to the people, and it's like everybody gets so upset and angry.
Not upset. I'm saying I don't want to talk to you anymore because you're unreasonable. So when you contradict yourself and I point it out 6 times, you don't accept it and say you won't. That's not the behaviour of a reasonable man. Therefore, I don't want to talk to you because you're unreasonable.
I think that's a cop-out. I think that I was being totally reasonable. I think my experiment is
don't take
the bait. Jesus wept. Guys in G+. Yeah, he knows he can sucker you in by saying experiment, and he's trying to weasel away from the now 7th attempt to point out that not perceivable curve isn't the same as seeing curve blocking Canada. That's a contradiction. Fact. Now, I'm going to do this all day because it demonstrates to the audience, Robo or Robonoxious, that being a bull believer, fact, makes you unreasonable. You are unwilling to accept this glaring contradiction you have made. You are desperate to move on and are more than happy to project how unreasonable I am in discussion when your unwillingness to accept your own contradiction is what's on the table for now the 7th time for you to accept or decline for me to then repeat that you are in fact unreasonable. Not me. I'm not upset. Would you like me to say it with a smile? How unreasonable it is to not accept a contradiction that's been pointed out to you 7 times? Do I seem upset while I say this with a giant smile because it's glaring to my audience just how unreasonable you are as a bull believer? No, my friend, I'll do this all day. Showing my audience just how unreasonable bull believers are is what I do with a big smile. Not upset. Let's get that cleared up too. Now, 8th attempt. Saying that Earth's imperceivably curved because we're as small as a dust mite on a basketball is to say we can't perceive curve, but you've also claimed that curve is blocking the bottom of Canada. Those 2 things are in direct contradiction. Yes. And you are now interrupting
No, they're not.
And you are now interrupting me. Again, the behaviour of a reasonable man, ladies and gentlemen. As I attempt for the 8th time to point out this glaring contradiction that he won't and has made clear he will not accept, is it reasonable that he talks through the top of it? It's still a contradiction that he hasn't accepted. No, I am not unreasonable. I'm a very reasonable man. 8 attempts to get an unreasonable man to accept a contradiction. Shout out to Sensual Goat. What a Richard cranium.
But I didn't make a contradiction, Nathan.
Yes, you did.
I was trying to explain the reason why that happened.
Yes, you did.
It's not a contradiction.
Yes, you did make a contradiction. I pointed it out 8 times.
Both are simultaneously true. I don't understand why it's so hard to comprehend.
No, that's fine. Do you want to explain how you violate the law of non-contradiction with this, please? Go ahead.
Yes, here we go. Because, like I said, when you're at ground level, okay, when you're at sea level or ground level, and you're standing there, the average person of an average height, your eyes are limited to what you can see, okay? But that can be tricked and improved by gaining elevation in the same area. So if I'm standing at one point and I'm at the ground and I raise my elevation however many feet, I'm going to have different views of things. This right there will prove to you that the Earth is round.
Okay, could you give me the mathematics for it, please?
Yeah, 1 second.
I've given it you already 5 times. I know it verbatim.
Oh, I know you do. Because that's your job, man. You're a pro. I know. I heard you're the best there is. That's why I'm here, man.
That's excellent. So
that
do you know the
has nothing to do with
mathematics?
his contradiction, though.
Yeah,
that was
still
just
in the
a
same
little
contradiction.
story. He just repeated himself again.
Yes, exactly. He's rinsed and repeated the same claim. He hasn't accepted his contradiction. He's made the original assertion along with the contradiction. Yeah, we know.
Right.
The title is expert, mate, in advanced heliocentrism.
Shout out to original heroes.
A course on.
Just 1 sec. He says, his voice sounds familiar. Same heliocentric heretic perpetuating a fraud, being one seeking the truth or to learn anything.
The equation I used was, I came up with radius equals diameter over circumference.
Oh, brother.
Oh, dear.
That was how I used mine.
Radius.
Yeah, where's this going? Nathan, just to let you know, Nathan, and I know I hate to interrupt this. This is going to go down the tubes. I just want you to know that Matthew Learns is here, just so you know.
Oh, well, how privileged we are. Does he have a pseudonym?
All right, so thank you for entertaining. Thank you for entertaining my questions, Nathan. I'm sorry that I have some, wasn't the best questions or whatever. I have one more question. How many degrees does a triangle equal?
What does this have to do with the shape of the Earth again?
Oh, this will prove that the Earth is round. How many degrees is a triangle?
Like degrees.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Degrees being something that's capable from a curve?
Well, no, just what's the total?
So maybe sit down and shut up. Maybe sit down and shut up. Thank you. Hello, Matthew. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining
what was he asking about? It's 180 degrees. Anyway.
Okay, 180 degrees. So how can you make a triangle on a sphere with 390-degree angles?
Matthew, we're not
Robo.
querying Rob Noxious. Somebody put Rob Noxious on mute, please. We're dealing with Matthew Learns.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Did you get our response?
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to say thank you for featuring my video the other day. I posted a link to your response in the pinned comment on the video. So.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no. Stop.
I appreciate it.
No. That is my main objective.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I'm going to thank him. If he's actually done precisely what I've requested for the people responding, then he is my poster child. So thank you, Matthew. I really appreciate that.
But I have something to say if I can.
Sasha, go ahead. But yeah.
Now, Matthew, I told you on 24/7. You came here now. You now take that video, what Nathan make it, analyze that video, and go for every point and say Nathan, and make a video because you have YouTube channel and say Nathan and this guy and this guy.
Hello. Who the hell are you? You're his boss. What the hell?
I was going to say.
No, I
Matthew,
mean it's a good idea.
A proper welcome, guys. This is shocking.
I'm a listener.
You're not shocking.
And I want to.
Right. G-Plus, just and can I just have Matthew? First of all, thank you, right, for putting Nathan's link in your video. It's really appreciated. We're really silenced over here, and It's one way for us to get our message out, whether you agree with it or not. And thank you for being a gentleman. And secondly, welcome. And I'm sure you maybe have some questions where we maybe just shut our mouths and listen to you as you graciously come over here. Over to you, Matthew.
Indeed.
No, I will start by saying that I think you were right to point out the thing about the different rates of rotation versus speed. I think that I should have been more clear in my video to describe the difference, RPMs versus speed at the equator versus an ant on a clock and all that type of thing. So I think that was a well-received constructive criticism. And if I were to redo it, I would try to expand that section to explain it a little bit better.
I see. When you expand upon it,
Only that one part?
would you consider giving us perhaps the measurement of the R value that the assertion for a sphere Earth rotating would be based on? Perhaps you could tell us now.
Yeah. Well, okay, so if something's rotating, there's the RPM, there's the speed at the end of the thing that's rotating, and then there's the acceleration experience at the end. Those three things.
That isn't really what I asked.
Matthew, he's not asking you that.
No, so I understand. And in order to get those three numbers,
The reason you're being interrupted,
you have to have a radius.
Hold on one second. The reason you're interrupted is because it seems you've dodged my question.
I'm saying, I'm sorry, I was explaining it too much. But basically,
do you want me to ask the question
yes,
again?
you have to have.
Would you like
you have to have the radiation in order to do those. Go ahead.
So the radius that you would assert for the rotational value, could you tell us where that's measured for an Earth that's assumed to be spherical? Where's the radius measured?
I would say it's never been directly measured. I would say instead that it's been calculated.
Sorry, let me get this straight. The sphere Earth radius has never been measured, Matthew.
I said it never been directly measured. Like nobody's slapped a ruler on it and like measured. Oh, here's
There's no other way than to measure something than to directly measure it, Matthew.
Right, and so that's why I say that instead we do calculations and calculate it.
So Nathan asked you,
same with
the height. Was it directly measured? And you said no. So let's move on from there. Nathan, please.
So what do you base the assumption on if it's not been measured?
Calculations, just like the height of Mount Everest has never been directly measured, but it's been calculated. And for me, that's good enough.
Really?
But the assumption is that it's spherical in the first instance. Why would you make the assumption that it's spherical in the first instance if you have no measurement?
That's a good question. I like to split those into two different questions. Question number one is the Earth a sphere? And then question number two is what is the radius? And I don't think it makes any sense at all to ask question number two, what is the radius? What is the measure of the radius? Unless you first assume that the Earth is a globe. Obviously, you're not going to get a radius if the
Sorry, my question isn't that you assume it, is why would you assume it?
I would assume it based on things like sunsets, it's dark at midnight, celestial navigation.
Just one at a time. Sorry, celestial navigation?
Oh, sorry.
Celestial navigation.
Take us through how celestial navigation would lead you to the assumption that Earth is a sphere.
I don't know celestial navigation very well, so I won't be able to
use it as an evidence that Earth is a sphere, though, Matthew. Like 20 seconds ago, you said that it was an evidence. So my bad. 20 seconds ago, when I asked you what would lead you to the assumption that Earth is a sphere, devastating though that concession is, you've said that celestial navigation was on the list after saying sunsets. That was what I heard, correct?
That's right.
So celestial navigation. So celestial navigation, then. Tell us how that would lead you to assume Earth is a sphere, please.
I trust the experts in celestial navigation.
That's an appeal to. That's an appeal to what? You're appealing to the experts. No,
appeal to authority.
No. Stop. You have assumed Earth's a sphere. What leads you to assume it's a sphere? Not, my experts. What leads you, as the mathematician assuming it, to assume it?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Aside from what the experts say, I would say things like my own observations. The full moon never changes size all night long, or never changes apparent size.
My bad. I don't understand. The moon isn't the ground we're standing on being spherical, is it? That's a light in the sky.
Right. My understanding is that the heliocentric model claims that the moon stays the same distance.
Stop. We haven't got to the heliocentric model. We've got to... That's way ahead of where we are. You're jumping miles ahead. No. Let's not jump to the heliocentric model. Where do you get the audacity to assume Earth's sphere in the first instance? So far, we've had me experts, my celestial navigation that I don't know anything about, and sunsets. That's what we've had so far. When I've pointed out, well, notwithstanding the experts, what in celestial navigation that are measuring elevation angle measurements from a flat plane, they're definitely not proving the Earth's a sphere, Matthew. But you don't know much about that, and you appeal to the experts that measure the flat plane when they use a flat plane to navigate with. That's celestial navigation. So we'll cross that off the list, not that you know much about it. But sunsets and the moon. The moon's a light in the sky. That's not going to give you anything in terms of the nature of the plane that's measured for navigation. So where do you get the audacity to assume it's a sphere? Sunsets is the only other thing you've not actually ticked off that list yet. So how does that prove we're on a sphere for you to assume it in your maths?
Yeah, when I live near the ocean, so I can watch the sunset over the ocean. And when I've seen it on a clear day, it appears to disappear bottom up. And so it seems like it's being obscured by something. And so if it's being obscured by the ocean, then that would imply that the ocean is curved.
Why?
Because the sun isn't actually at the ocean. It's not actually touching the ocean, even though it appears to be. And based on reports of other people saying, hey, the sun's high in the sky when I'm watching the sunset, that would imply that there's something blocking the bottom of the sun and my eye.
No, I heard that the first time. My question was, why would it infer that something is blocking it?
When you can't see things, it's typically because there's a physical obstruction.
Oh, really?
Usually, yeah. I mean,
really?
I'm open to other suggestions.
So if I was to hold up, say, a human hair and walk away 100 paces, would it be disappearing because of an obstruction, that human hair at 100 paces, Andrew?
No, that's a good example of when it wouldn't be. Yeah.
So typically, you said typically, I've just immediately, without hesitation, come up with an example that isn't that. So not typically then. So my question remains, why would you assume it's a physical obstruction when that's not typically the case?
Because it's big enough to see. So it's, a human hair gets smaller and smaller, but I don't see the sun getting smaller. So I'm saying that, like, the sun, when it's setting, it's actually big enough to see.
But you don't see it getting smaller and smaller. What is the sun precisely?
I think it's a big ball of helium and hydrogen gas, mostly.
It's a second law of thermodynamics violation, though, wouldn't it be?
Most people, I'm not an expert in second law, but I don't think...
That's an appeal to consensus that I'm not that interested in. My question, I'll repeat. In terms of what you think the sun should do in terms of its not actual size not changing, that's apparent size. So you don't know about what its actual size is doing, do you?
Yeah, you're right. I'm talking about the apparent
Okay, so
size.
we can scratch that off the list. We're getting slimmer and slimmer in terms of this. What was it originally that we were asking about? Why you would have the audacity to assume Earth's a sphere? Because the not actual size of the sun moving out away from your position and above someone else's assumes a blockage, even though I immediately detailed the effects of perspective. Now, unless you know what the sun is, which you do not, then you're only going by its not actual size. When you say it doesn't get smaller, are you not?
Yeah, you're right. I'm talking about
it's irrelevant. So we'll just scratch that then, won't we? Okay, moving on.
Wait,
why would you then assume R? We still haven't got to the point where you're assuming R with any reasonable, exceptional, justifiable reason to do so when it's an extraordinary claim.
Yeah, like I said before, you can't measure R unless you assume that the Earth is a globe. So you're not gonna assume R or measure R or calculate R without that assumption first.
So if we don't assume it, and you've given no reasonable reason to do so.
Yeah, if you don't assume that the Earth is a sphere, then trying to calculate R is sort of nonsensical, of course.
I would agree.
Me too.
My kitchen also agrees.
Okay, so you also mentioned celestial navigation. Do you know what an elevation angle is?
Yeah, it's how high above 90 degrees a star appears, like the angular elevation.
So 90 degrees to your position. So 90 degrees would be the zenith, and 90 along a baseline to your position, correct?
Yeah. I was thinking from straight down a plumb line, or like a bubble sextant, I think uses a bubble.
Oh, so, that wouldn't give me the zenith of the star, though, would it? 90 degrees would also be the relationship the star has with the ground, correct?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what you're asking.
Measuring the zenith position of the star 90 degrees to your position along a baseline.
Yeah.
So Earth is flat.
The baseline is flat.
That's what the ground you'll be navigating.
Yeah, so you're only looking at the elevation angle from where you're at. It doesn't matter what it is, 10 feet in front
and
of you.
That is 90 degrees to the star. Flat. From you to the zenith of the star is flat. And that's the ground you're navigating. Correct?
Well, what do you mean by the zenith of the star?
90 degrees below the star is what you're measuring. The zenith position of the stars, 90 degrees to your position.
Oh, I see. You mean directly below the star?
Yes, the zenith of the star. That's the fourth time I've said it.
I would have called that the ground position.
So the GP of the star, the ground position, the zenith position is 90 degrees to your position along a flat baseline. Ergo, the ground you are navigating is flat. Correct, Matthew?
I don't think so. No, I think.
Would you like to explain how it's not flat when you're measuring 90 degrees to the position on the ground? You say ground position. Yeah, that's right. 90 degrees to the zenith. That's the baseline. Yes.
So
it's not a question.
If I'm trying to find the ground,
it's my question to you. So yes, 90 degrees baseline to your position, zenith of the star, its ground position, its GP. We're all clear, aren't we? You understand?
Yes,
you just need to say yes.
Yes, the ground position is directly under the star. That's correct.
With 90 degrees along the baseline.
90 degrees from that position on the Earth to the star is straight up. That's 90 degrees, yes.
Yes, so between you and the ground position of the star, which has 90 degrees to the line at its zenith, ground position, that's a flat baseline. That's the fourth attempt, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if you can say yes this time.
No, it's not.
Oh, really? So how do you have 90 degrees if that line isn't flat?
You can have a curve on a ball and
that's not my question. My question was, how do you have 90 degrees if it's not flat?
You could use the tangent and make it flat.
To achieve 90 degrees at the base of the zenith of the star, you use a tangent. Or does it just have a 90 degree to your position, as you have already conceded?
He'll have diverging zeniths.
Can't have diverging zeniths. We'll get there later, Adam. So far, he's already conceded 90 degrees, flat baseline. Somehow he's now saying no. It seems like we're going to have to give you the same treatment as the last guy, where we point out your contradiction if you're now disagreeing with it having a flat baseline and 90 degrees to the ground position. Do you now say that's not the case where you've already conceded it is, Matthew?
The position directly under the star is 90 degrees. The star is directly above that point.
And that's what you're measuring.
I understand that part.
At 90 degrees, and you're measuring it. So 90 degrees to your position, that's flat, isn't it, Matthew? I know this is painful.
No, it's not.
Oh, is it not? How could it be? Third time's a charm. How can it be 90 degrees if it's not flat, Matthew? Are you a mathematician, Matthew?
I am a mathematician.
I study performing arts. How is it that I'm dragging you around third attempt to ask you how something with 90 degrees cannot be flat, and this is the third time? Are you a university mathematician? Because a drama student has currently got you by your short hairs. Third time, how can it not be flat if it's 90 degrees to the zenith ground position, Matthew?
It can't.
So it's definitely flat then, if it can't be.
At that point,
Sorry, you seem to be stuttering.
degrees
Just try and be clear like you were talking to your students. It is
I would ask you the same
flat.
without being clear.
Sorry, it's flat, Matthew, between your position and that 90 degree to the zenith. Correct?
I'm trying my hardest to picture what you have in your mind and what you're saying.
A triangle. It's a triangle, my friend. A triangle. Do you know what a triangle is? Try and picture that.
Yes.
Do you know what a 90-degree triangle is, Matthew?
Yes, I'm picturing
Imagine
a
the flat bit that meets the 90. Imagine the straight line going up being the zenith, and then the 90-degree being the baseline that meets it along the ground to your position. Do you know about that triangle? This isn't really that complicated, Matthew. Do you understand that if you've got a zenith that's plumb to the ground, that's the ground position, and it's 90 degrees to the baseline ipso facto is flat. Fifth attempt with a university-grade mathematician being dragged around by short as by a drama student.
Okay, so yes, 46.
Sorry, do you want to say it louder?
In the chat,
Sorry, yes, it is a flat baseline that we will be navigating.
Yes, it is a flat base.
Earth is flat then, Matthew. Then the Earth is flat.
Okay, so I'm picturing what I posted in.
Sorry,
in the chat.
you just need to concede like the last guy. The baseline we will be travelling along and are navigating is functionally and mathematically flat, isn't it, Matthew?
Oh yeah, sure.
So Earth, that would be the Earth. That would be the Earth that we will be navigating is flat, isn't it, Matthew?
Yeah, we're navigating on the Earth, and functionally it's flat, and we navigate along a flat map, of course.
Welcome to Flat Earth, Matthew. That's correct. From a university-grade mathematician, for all of you ladies and gentlemen, that will be trimmed out and posted everywhere. That's a university-grade mathematician telling you, the audience, that Earth is functionally measured and navigated flat. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Of course, that's why all maps are flat. Like,
of course.
I mean, the 3D, except for 3D maps, but most maps are flat.
Of course.
So they're all flat because the grid system for the map has come from elevation angle measurements to Polaris. Those are also right-angled triangles with the zenith position of Polaris running along a flat baseline all the way out to the equator for the equatorial plane. So all of the maps are flat because they have to functionally work with flat Earth elevation angle measurements, the ones you just conceded after 5 attempts.
Yeah, so I posted a picture of a triangle used for celestial navigation.
Sorry, why do you think we care when you've just proved Earth's flat, Matthew? You are a baller, and you've just proven Earth's flat, functionally measured flat. The ground that's being navigated is flat.
John's picture from his website.
Sorry, did you want to talk through me, Mr. Professor?
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in your triangle. We know it took you 5 attempts to concede that a triangle with a 90 degree doesn't have a curve meeting it. It took 5 attempts. Do you think that you need to hog the mic now, Mr. Mathematician? You're not in some privileged position with students. You are the student being educated that 90 is not going to be meeting a curve. It took me 5 attempts with you, Matthew. So like the other guy, you can shut up now. We have no respect for you as a mathematician. I stand by what I said in my video, that you should be fired. To have me, a drama student, telling you, the mathematician, that when something meets a zenith at 90, it doesn't bend 5 times, means you should be sacked. Do you hear me? Don't tell me about your triangle diagram. I know what a triangle is. You took 5 attempts of me telling you that it won't have a curve meeting it. So sit down and shut up, Matthew. Earth is flat. You've done what you needed to do here. You've served your purpose for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help.
What, prove Earth's flat? You helped immensely. Did you all hear that, ballers? That was one of your kin. A globe believer. A mathematician, no less. Detailing explicitly. Yeah, we had to drag him around a little bit beforehand. The drama aficionado, pulling around the mathematician who's teaching our kids. His nonsense has to be educated about 5 times. That no, when you meet something at 90 and you're a triangle, you're not meeting a curve. making Earth functionally flat. That's right. Very helpful indeed. How did you think you would get on here today, Matthew?
Oh, I was just listening to somebody else called me out. Sorry about that.
Chuckling like this is amusing. The world's been deceived, Matthew. The world's told by people like yourself that it's functionally spherical while they lie and deceive with mathematics about how ants will go round on clocks, only for us to have to correct them. So twice we've had to correct you about curves not meeting 90 degrees in triangles and clocks not being analogous to a presupposed spherical Earth with no justification, and the audacity that you have when you assume it. No justification to assume your spherical value. None.
I think I'm still going to teach my students that the Earth is a sphere and give them evidence for that. And,
what evidence will you give them?
Tell them it's
there
not
isn't
flat.
any. What would you give them?
Eyewitness testimony, pictures from space, GPS, satellite TV, like that type of evidence.
Let's go in reverse order. GPS uses Cartesian grid system. Were you aware of that?
It uses the Cartesian grid system. That's right.
That's also derived from flat Earth. My bad. I was responding. That's a flat Earth.
The point of bringing up GPS is to ask where those satellites are.
Excuse me. The system is used for navigation and is a Cartesian flat Earth grid system. You said you would teach children this lie based on GPS, which is a flat Earth Cartesian grid system. But you would say that it's about the satellites. I see. So you teach it based on its name only, not about how it's actually utilising a flat plane. You just go to space. Have you been to space to lie to them about what it is?
No, I'm never going to go to space.
So you're going to lie to them based on what your experts told you then?
I'm going to tell them what the experts say, yes.
Why?
Because I think that that's true.
Why? Well, you haven't been to space. In fact, space is a second law of thermodynamics violation. Entropy. Do you not know of this law of nature? Definitely not real. But we've already proven that one of the things you would lie to the children about, this sphere Earth assumption you haven't justified, is based on a Cartesian flat Earth system called GPS. That's nothing to do with Earth and orbital presuppositions of the satellites, and everything to do with the navigation system that's flat.
So it is based on a Cartesian coordinate system of latitude and longitude, but I don't think that that only is on a flat surface. It can.
Where'd you get latitude from? Where was that derived from? We've already covered this, by the way.
The angle to Polaris.
What, the one that you made absolutely clear is functionally flat? That one?
No, just the...
Sorry, no. I think you'll be remiss if you don't say yes, given that it took me 5 attempts to get you to concede it. Yes, you mean? Right, do you think an elevation angle measurement to Polaris... Excuse me. Do you think an elevation angle measurement to Polaris can have a curved baseline? Do we need to do this for a 6th time?
Triangles are made up of perfectly straight lines. They can't have a curved baseline.
So an elevation angle measurement to Polaris to give you latitude won't be derivable from a curved surface then, will it, Matthew?
No, you have...
So the latitude lines in this Cartesian grid system, they are derived from a flat Earth then, Matthew?
A flat triangle, yes.
A flat plane with an elevation angle measurement to Polaris and circles coming out towards the equator, measured on a flat plane. Like we explained earlier with why all the maps were flat. You don't need to talk as I'm talking, Sunshine. I am not one of your students. Yeah, I have absolutely no respect for you. Like conspiracy cats and child's flat earth math, you are scum. Lying to children with a justification of me experts and me space that violates second law of thermodynamics. That's what you've got.
I'm not scum and I don't deserve to be fired.
Yeah, you do. You've come in here and conceded the incorrect nonsense you've peddled to millions, and you've told me that you'll justify lies to children about an R value you haven't justified because of the way satellites work in a presupposed orbit, as opposed to a Euclidean system that uses triangles with right angles to Polaris that's measured off a flat plane and using a Cartesian flat plane grid system. That's not justifying the lie to the children of a sphere, Matthew. So you are scum.
I wouldn't characterize it that way.
I did. I am characterising you to your face as scum based on the lies I've pointed out to you.
I don't think they're lies. I think
so. Cartesian flat Earth grid system isn't justifying the orbital motion you say the satellites get it from is using, when the system itself is used with flat Earth elevation angle measurements to derive the grid system in the first instance. That's not a justification to lie to children about an R value you haven't justified. You are scum. I'm not categorising you as it. I'm giving an example of you being scum.
I agree that it's always wrong to lie to children. I think I'm telling the truth.
You think you're telling the truth when I've proven that the justification of GPS uses a Cartesian flat Earth grid system?
So you agree? The reason I brought up GPS was not about the Cartesian system, but...
Sorry, it's a system that uses navigation for the ground. And you're going to use the satellites they lie about it using when the system itself is flat. The flat Earth grid system is the system that you're actually navigating, Matthew. You already tried this, you're just rinsing and repeating, and now you feel the necessity to talk over me. I'm not one of your students. You're one of mine. I am the advanced heliocentrist, and you are the student of the triangle used to acquire the elevation angle measurements to Polaris to give you the flat grid system used for navigating the ground in GPS. Now, I've proven how it's a flat system and how the system has been derived from flat angles to a star. Now, that is in no way justification, as you gave, for lying to children about Earth being an assumed radius that you didn't justify. Now, you might not think it's reasonable, but I'm demonstrating to my audience why it's an unreasonable statement to lie to them. I don't care about your cognitive dissonance response.
I'd like to ask Matthew a question.
Feel free, I'm done with it.
Matthew, you said earlier that you assume the Earth is a sphere rotating, and then you apply math to it. And yet you're a mathematician. Do you measure 90 degrees, or do you assume 90 degrees?
In what context? Like when you're looking at
in the context of celestial navigation, when the star is directly at the zenith position over somewhere the Earth, it's given a ground position at 90 degrees. And you with the sextant, are getting the angle from a right angle triangle. So say, for example, you have a 50-degree sighting of the sun above the horizon. That's a right angle triangle. And now you subtract from 90 that 50, and you get 40. 40 times 60 nautical miles, you're 2,400 nautical miles away from the GP of the sun. To you, the observer, also has a zenith, your own GP. That is measured. That is not assumed. You need a flat baseline to do that, and that's how celestial navigation is performed.
The idea of celestial navigation on a globe, which I understand you disagree with, doesn't use right triangles.
It's not, yeah, it does, and he's not agreeing or disagreeing with it. It's what it is. You've already snatched your own wig off. You don't know what an elevation angle is, and you don't know what a right triangle is. Period.
Well, not only that, Matthew, but you've already said you don't know anything about celestial navigation. Now you're going to correct us, who have been putting over 2 years of research into it. So let's revisit what you said. A 90-degree demands a flat baseline, yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Then when you take that angle measurement of the sun at 50 degrees, that baseline of the sun is meeting your GP once you figure out your zenith. But you can't figure out your zenith on a moving boat until you do the subtraction from 90. The 50 gives you 40. Now that gives you your zenith distance, and that's your co-altitude. That means no diverging zeniths. That means your zenith is directly touching the Earth, perpendicular, just like the sun's. Is there a curve to perpendicular, Matthew?
No, there's no curve in perpendicular.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
I'm going to do a few shout outs. So, shout out to Godzilla37. It says, Matthew learns nothing. Am I right? Thank you for the super chat, Godzilla. Shout out JMels24. He says, I'm out of popcorn. Got to make some more. 4 more hours. Face mask, face mask, face mask. Say that 3 times quickly. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Really appreciate the support. Also, Ted1972 says, this teacher got schooled. Thank you very much indeed for the super chats, guys. Really appreciate the support. Also, JMels24 again, who said, popcorn's ready and I'm feeling good. This is so wrong, but it feels so right. Weird emoji face. Thank you very much, all of you, for the super chat. Sorry I didn't shout them out as it was going along.
I don't know if I could call Matthew a liar, though. I don't think that was called for.
I just call it
I
how I see
agree
it.
with John. I agree with John.
I mean, when you grow up in a paradigm of ignorance, you can't, and you don't know this, and you're teaching what you think is correct. I don't think that's a liar.
No, he's
just
retarded.
wrong.
No, he's retarded.
One of the two.
I already told you that.
What we're trying to figure out, Matthew, is whether it's reasonable for me to ascribe malice to you when we could just as easily ascribe it as stupidity.
Ooh,
I've said it
Duperpoons in
before,
chat says,
that-
flat earthers are bullies. We are so bullying to force ballers to see reason.
How does it feel?
We're bullies. Did you hear, Nathan?
Not at all.
We're bullies.
I would say I've kept my disdain to an absolute minimum because, no offence to you, Matthew, in the personal world we probably get on really well, but you're a teacher, so you may not know this, but I hold the highest level of disdain for people in this arena specifically, which is you now. It's been told. We've told you. You've told us how these grid systems are developed from a flat plane, how the maps are all flat so they can work with that grid system. How the angles that you measure to the star are measured off a flat plane. You've confirmed all of this. So for you to go forth and go, I'm going to teach the kids that it's a sphere anyway, well, yeah, I've already told you my opinion. That's just how it is. I'm sorry.
And you started it off with the radius has never been measured.
Calculate.
My thing is, how do you say that so flippantly, and that's not more devastating to you and your assumptions? Because I mean, that's all you
does
got
it bother you that the Wait, does it bother you that the height of Mount Everest has never been directly measured?
Who cares? Does that fundamentally change my paradigm? Does that put me on a ball flying through a sky vacuum?
No, I'm using it as an example of how calculations
like you don't
is good
know the
enough.
difference between measurement and calculation there, son. Can you tell me the difference?
Calculation uses formulas to figure out something. You measure one thing and then calculate something else. Direct measurement would be like if you slap a ruler on a notebook and see how big it is, something like that.
Measurement and a calculation. That's incorrect. Can you get a citation for? Do we want to go down this road? This is pedantic.
Yes, please.
Can you get a citation that explains the difference between the two? Because that wasn't the difference. You gave me examples. I didn't ask you for an example. I asked you to define it.
Yeah, no, I don't have pedantic definitions for every single thing I say. I was just using an example of my general understanding.
Matthew, if one of your students said to you, teacher, what's the difference between a calculation and a measurement? You wouldn't be able to respond to them?
Yeah, I think using an example is a good response.
Yeah, but what if they asked you for the definition, like we just did? Not an example.
I would encourage them.
I can understand using an example after defining it, but why would you just go right into example?
Oh, because I don't know the definition.
Oh, why are you using these words?
I can explain like a human being what is calculation and what is measurement.
Hold on, Sandra.
It's me.
Why you don't? No, I get it. But I'm saying you don't know what these words mean. But you came in telling us about a calculation for R because you have no measurement. But now you're saying
most people, I have a general understanding. I don't have like a precise definition.
Okay, well, let's just give those. So calculation. a mathematical determination of the amount or number of something, as opposed to measurement being a process of determining how large or small a physical quantity is, as compared to a basic reference of quantity of some kind.
I like those definitions. That sounds great.
Hold on. Measurement always involves some interaction between the object and the observer or observing instrument. There is always an exchange of energy, Matthew. So when we're looking at Mount Everest, is there an exchange of energy there, brother? You clown.
I don't think. No.
Yeah, no. So you're not looking at the mountain.
You're talking about like the light energy coming from the top of Mount Everest?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's cut this short. I think what he's trying to say is, when you say you haven't measured Mount Everest, what you actually mean is we haven't measured it that accurately, right? But it has been measured.
It hasn't been compared against a physical standard like in your definition. So I would agree with your definition.
Yeah, that's right. We're looking at the mountain. Can
Like
you show us looking at the curvature? So you can make
I'm
the
saying that
proper
nobody
analogy?
slapped a ruler up on Mount Everest.
Yeah, you're still train wreck. You still return right back to your vomit. I am still exchanging energy with that mountain that I'm measuring. Right? Show us the curvature to make your analogy
light energy
appropriate.
coming from you?
Yeah, light is fucking energy. Yes. Sorry for the F.
So there's a physical interaction.
Are you saying light has no energy?
Let me just summarize. The point being that there's a physical interaction when you look at the mountain to make whatever you're going to call a calculation or measurement. There's a physical interaction with it. Whereas with Earth curvature, there is no physical interaction with it at any point ever. You can't see it.
Precisely, Nathan. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I've conceded that nobody's ever measured the curvature of the Earth.
Right. So curvature of the Earth isn't measurable because there is no way to physically interact with it. Ergo, it only exists in the maths.
Right. It's a calculation.
Matthew, but you did intonate earlier that you'd got some form of measurement that you'd then take into calculation to give you your R value. What's pointing out here is there isn't any measurement or interaction at any point. It's all just in calculation and assumption.
Well, it starts from a measurement and then you use that measurement in a calculation.
First taken to then use in calculation to get your R value.
Precisely.
All based on what should be, but what isn't.
So your analogy,
Matthew, do you make sure to affirm?
So your analogy is a train wreck. So your analogy is a train wreck. Have you ever? Well, what do you do when you look at Mount Everest? That is a train wreck, son.
The point of Mount Everest is that they use it. The point of Mount Everest is to say that they use
your way out of this.
He is, but you're stepping on each other. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe I didn't explain very well that the point of bringing up Mount Everest is that we use calculations to determine its height.
That's a measurement.
It's a calculation based on.
It's a measurement.
No,
is the point, Matthew?
When we look at Mount Everest, we're looking.
When you did your calculations for Mount Everest, where did you get your initial numbers from? Did you just calculate them or observe Mount Everest?
You observe Mount Everest and you measure angles and do geometric surveying. And so
perfect. So now when we go to Earth curvature, where is the Mount Everest that we're going to angle to?
Sticks and shadows, Eratosthenes angle.
Sorry, those angles would require they'd require a flat Earth also.
No, but is a shadow the curving Earth that I'm supposed supposedly measuring, or is it something completely different that's not a measurement of the thing that I'm going to calculate. It's a measurement of something completely different. It's a shadow.
Right. It's a measurement of something completely different. It's a measure of an angle of a shadow.
Right. So is that reasonable? Without
yes, you use
assumption.
No, without an assumption, it's not reasonable. Of course, you can't get it.
Not at all. So we should just put that one to one side. I think this is the point of the analogy. You don't have a mountain to measure an angle to. You've not observed the mountain.
So if this Earth curve is only in existence in the maths, and there's no physical interaction to take a measurement of it, and you appreciate that you can only infer it by assumption, do you not see how that seems very unreasonable to any reasonable person after having that explained to them?
Of course. So you have to assume that the Earth is a globe in order to try and get a radius. What sense does it even mean to get a radius if the Earth is not a globe?
Okay. I realise that perhaps in maths this doesn't necessarily come up very often, but that's a fallacy in logic called begging the question.
Right. If you're trying to prove that the Earth is the globe.
Stop. Try that once more. So yes, was your reply. That's what I need. Yeah. So your fallacy in logic is your justification for lying to the kiddies, correct?
It is a fallacy in logic to say that to use the radius of the Earth to prove that the Earth is a sphere. Correct.
To assume your outcome. That's begging the question.
Yeah, because it's begging the question.
That's okay. I'm not a student of yours. Yet when I talk, you listen to me. The one who knows more about your belief in this sphere than you do. I understand the flaw in logic you are employing, Matthew. You said yes, and then started waffling. No. At the point that you concede that what you are using to justify your assumption is the necessity for the assumption, that is a unreasonable way to assume. It's a flaw in logic. It is a logical fallacy. Yes, that's where we got to last time. This time, I don't want you to waffle on when you say yes. I will berate you for your use of logical fallacy to lie to children when you educate them about the sphere belief that you have based on flaws in logic. Now, I don't see it as reasonable to lie to children about your assumptions based on flaws in logic. Yeah, that's not reasonable. Do you understand my disdain for you and my justification for calling you scum when you justify lying to children based on a flaw in logic?
Yes, I understand your disdain if that's what you think I'm doing.
No, you are doing that. You have just told me how you assume Earth is a sphere because that's the only way you can justify measuring its radius. That is a flaw in logic called begging the question. That's not what I think you're doing, it's what you factually are doing, and it's your justification for lying to students about Earth being a sphere. Now, that is why I have a high level of disdain for teachers in this arena, like conspiracy cats. Because he knows better. We've told you it's a flaw in logic. You've conceded it's a flaw in logic. So it is not a reasonable justification to tell students Earth's a sphere. Comprende?
Eratosthenes is not a proof of the Earth being a sphere.
Eratosthenes, the first word out of his mouth.
So my disdain, my reasoning for calling you scum is because you've justified it with a logical fallacy. Not reasonable.
Not Eratosthenes. Yes, Nathan, or no, Nathan?
No.
No, it's not reasonable to lie to the students based on a flaw in logic you hold.
It's not reasonable to lie to students ever.
So, were you to justify telling the students that Earth's a sphere, having had the flaw in logic pointed out to you, would you now concede that if you continue to do so, it's perfectly reasonable to consider you a scum? Based on the fact you now know it's a flaw in logic that you used to justify this education you thought you were giving them? No, you were giving them flaws in logic. unreasonable.
You're misunderstanding what I'm telling them. I'm not using Eratosthenes to prove that the Earth is a sphere. All I say is that he used that to measure the radius, not to prove that the Earth is a sphere.
The same radius that you said was never measured. That radius.
Right.
And you're not measuring it.
If you're measuring angles from the ground. Sorry, no. You've got to just point out to him his flaw in logic again. No, stop. Everyone stop.
Did you just say
hello?
Right?
Stop. Right. Measure an angle of a shadow from a stick. Why would you assume that the base of that triangle has a curve to it? That is utterly ludicrous.
No, wait a second.
You all shut up.
Nathan. Oh, God.
I'm asking him why, when he told us he was measuring an angle from a shadow, that in any way, beyond the flaw in logic that he's already used, where he assumes he's measuring a sphere, why would assume that that angle was actually a curved line meeting a straight line?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
but we already
angles are always between straight lines.
So
we already compromised this dumbass 3 times with that. So it's already spilled milk. But Chocolate had a point that he wanted to make that I thought was kind of
on point.
Go ahead, Chocolate.
Well, it's based on what he just said, right? You tell the kids that Eratosthenes did what? Please repeat.
He calculated the radius.
No, that's not what you said before, though.
That's not what you said. You said measured.
You said measured, bro.
He measured an angle. He measured use that to calculate the radius.
Wait, angles, that's straight lines, though, isn't it?
Oh, brother.
It is.
Right. So does this cognitive dissonance hurt as a justification to brainwash the kiddies into your religious belief of a sphere? Is this cognitive dissonance hurting?
No.
Well, we've already gone through the angle about, 7 times? You know, I had a little gloat about how I'm a student of drama, like trained as an actor. And it took 6 attempts for me to get you to concede that you're not going to get a right angle out of a curve. But you're now going back to what you've calculated out of the surface of the angle that you measured was curved. That's utterly absurd. We've already compromised, as just been pointed out by QE. But I don't know what you're doing.
I'm trying to explain what I'm telling the kids.
Yeah, I hate you. Yeah, I hate you. You're the reason I homeschool. You're the reason I homeschool my kids, because I don't want people like you to teach my kids. As you chuckle about this. Shut up! Shut up! Stupid man. Telling my audience why I homeschool. Because you, when pointed out and compromised 6 or 8 times, laugh about it. That's why I hate you. And I wouldn't put my kids in front of you.
You think your kids are going to end up as...
I am not going to put my kids in front of you, you lying scum. You understand? So what matters, I don't care about your opinion thereafter. It's a fact. Not something you can question or query. That's a fact. It's my justification why I wouldn't let my kids anywhere near you. Because you'll lie to them. And when somebody points out how you've lied to them, you chuckle. You think it's amusing. That's why I hate you. I hate cats. I hate all of the people in this arena who know better, that have been told, like you've been told, that have had to be dragged around by their short hairs with their own bloody words about how wrong they are and how they're using logical fallacies. And at the end of the process, you laugh. You disgust me, teacher. You should be sacked, and you can shut your mouth while I berate you. You disgust me, and I do believe you should be fired. The very fact that you've come here, have you taken down your video with the incorrect information that you conceded here when you joined? Have you taken that down?
No, and
Scum! Fire him! He's more than content to continue to perpetuate his bullshit lies that he's conceded. He hasn't taken his video down. He's not got an ounce of integrity. Have you, Matthew? Take your video down and put one up with the corrections and acknowledge us in them. Acknowledge me personally for the corrections I gave you, and acknowledge the world is flat. I'm not asking you to give your heart to Jesus. I'm asking you to have some intellectual integrity. Do it. Now get the fuck out of my show and site. You can rejoin when you've honoured what I demand you do. That's correct your lies that you conceded when you arrived here. Take down your video with its incorrect nonsense. that you've bullshitted around how Earth is assumed to be a spherical radius value-based system with a turn value that's equivalent of a clock. No, my friend, you can remove that shit and correct it and acknowledge me for correcting you, the one who educated you on how wrong you were, for you to need to concede it. Then you can go away and justify to yourself how you lie to your students with the logical fallacies you employ, while I retain my disgust and disdain for you as a teacher. Okay? Now bugger off. Why are you still here, Matthew? I don't want to keep my blood pressure at this level. Good.
I wanted to have some more fun.
Well, he can go away and take down his incorrect misinformation that he brainwashes millions of people with at my demand. And once he's done that, I might have a minor level of respect for him. Until he does, while he's conceded how wrong he was based on what we damn well told him. Bearing in mind, YouTube land, we are the ones getting suppressed. We are the ones that are shoved to the bottom of the list. We've corrected him, the mathematician who's teaching your kids. He's conceded how wrong he was when he got here. It was the first thing he did. Has he taken down his video? No. Of course he hasn't. Well, that's what I demand as the suppressed YouTuber who doesn't get the views. The ones that he's got from the wrong video he put up. Well, now I'm demanding he takes it down and commends me for correcting him. Yes, so I do actually get some promotion when I correct these idiot mathematicians who teach our kids.
I think you're being a little hard on the guy.
Oh, really, Neil? No, I am just about keeping my shit together here, Neil. Don't test me. Right?
Yeah,
I have the same level of disdain for him.
On one hand, yeah, and what Arwen was about to say is correct. On one hand, because I'm cool with Matthew, I don't like it. But on the other hand, I'm being a hypocrite because if it's not a friend, if all other values are equal, I would be feeling and saying the same thing.
Neil,
bullshit though. I mean, did you see him? Did you not see him laugh?
Neil, did I detect some
dude?
Maybe
hold on, just 1 second. Keep it.
Before
he did get a word in. He managed to get the word in edgeways. Just go ahead to the book, Finn.
I mean, did you not see him laugh and say, "You think your kid's gonna be a flat earther?" I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
Why are you interrupting me when I'm speaking?
I've given him permission, Neil. That's why. Thank you, the book. Go ahead, Neil.
The problem is, like Refracted Curvature said, the guy's been indoctrinated. He doesn't know. He thinks he's correct. Even though you've proven he
doesn't know. He just...
Why do you think he's correct?
Right, Neil. But that's why...
What are you talking about? He just pointed it out many times.
Exactly. We've pointed it out to him. He's come in conceded where we've pointed out to him how wrong he was. So he's in the arena. He's had his corrections. At that point, like with Katz or any other teacher, Charles, Flat Earth Math, at that point, that's when they start smirking. That's when they start laughing as the cognitive dissonance kicks in. Well, that's the point that I just about managed to keep my rage. That's why I told him to get lost, because I'd started losing my temper with him and say something I did regret. Now, I've not regretted anything up until this point. Meant every word of it.
I'll give you a scenario, Neil, because it does seem a little heavy-handed. But on the other end, remember, the only reason it seems heavy-handed is because he's a very passively aggressive individual. Now, these are the people that I actually despise the most personally myself, because these are the people that would be totally fine trying to massage you into doing something that could potentially poison you.
He was corrected, and he didn't take the correction. He admitted through his own words a number of times that he compromised himself. He was in contradiction. He was using logical fallacy, but still, after the correction that he acknowledged, by the way, he still kept to his company line of teaching the kids a frigging lie. Neil, that's the difference after he was corrected. Before he was corrected, no problem. After
You're right. 100% right. I take everything back. Get him, Nathan.
Exactly. Beautifully summarized. Exactly, Quantum Eraser. I haven't got disdain for teachers. I understand that they're going to educate the kids in what they've been educated to educate them in. I'm not an unreasonable man. But at the point of correction, that is to say, and I always qualify it, the people in this arena, The people who have come and had the education from us, we've told them as advanced heliocentric understanders that they're wrong. And in this instance, Matthew's come on the show and told us how wrong he was. He's conceded. So at that point, I've got nothing but disdain for him. If he's going to say, well, I still think it's a sphere and I'm going to tell the kids anyway. Well, then you're going to get every bit of thunder that I can possibly muster. But with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, obviously a huge, massive, enormous thank you to Matthew for tolerating my disdain and having the balls to do it. Props to you, Matthew. On the other hand, from a YouTube perspective, I've got a lot of admiration for the courage that you actually had to come on here and actually face our criticisms and debate with us. So thank you very much indeed. And of course, a massive thank you to the rest of the Discord panel. And of course, a massive thank you to today's G Plus panel for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. But as I say, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of the panels. I've been Nathan Oakley and I'll see you all in the next video. Shout out to Gene has a question who made a super chat that I missed. He said, ask him, presumably Matthew, what does he think of a panel of people hashing this out day in, day out for 8 years? And why would he continue this delusion of thought? Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Stay tuned if you're watching an after show.